You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
And if you've been paying attention to the Wrestling Nerdcast, then you will know that we have an addition to the show. We're actually getting in touch with our feminine side. We have a new co-host, the lovely, the talented, the super, I guess I should say intelligent, but she's definitely highly opinionated, the one, the only, Mika Villas. What's going on, Mika?
That was the best and worst introduction I've ever had. Thank you. And I hate you all at the same time. That was great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, first of all, welcome to the show. You know, last time we talked to you was a guest on the show. Now you're a part of the Angry Marks podcast family. How does it feel to be on the other side of the mic, first of all?
It is very different being on this side of the mic. It's just different being on the mic. I love to talk. As you say, I am highly intelligent and opinionated, so I will try to keep up with you and not surpass you. I'll bring myself down and, keep this level for everybody.
Oh, shots being thrown already. Already got somebody trying to shoot on me. Man, it's like having Troy Miller and Drew Skills in the show all over again. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, I want to say a shout out to the hardest working producer in wrestling podcast history, my homeboy, my ace boom coon, my boy, the one, the only Killer Kev. First of all, so now that we got all the introductions out the way, Mika, let's go ahead. First of all, how was your weekend?
My weekend was actually pretty good. Not as much wrestling as I would have liked to partake in of, but I was able to catch up on some things that were sitting on the DVR and, some old Impact and, New Japan. So it was very, very good as far as my personal wrestling relaxation weekend was. It was a holiday, so, that wasn't bad either.
Exactly. Once again, happy Labor Day to everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed their Labor Day and the cookouts and the barbecues and spending time with the family. And a lot of people have family reunions around this time of the year. Did you happen to make any wrestling shows?
This weekend, again, I was sort of a bum. I did not make any Oh, no, I'm sorry. I did. I made a show in Buchanan, Georgia, the UIW promotion, Universal Independent Wrestling, which is a sister promotion of my home promotion, Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. They put on a pretty good show out there in the middle of the sticks, with the main event being a 6-person tag that saw the hierarchy of Murder 1, along with Adrian Armour and Jimmy Rave taking on Chip Day, Priscilla Kelly, who is the Shine Nova champion, and someone who was making their last appearance there, Terry the Rocker Lawler. So that was a pretty good show.
Okay, well, now correct me if I'm wrong. This past Thursday was also Dragon Con. Did you make that?
You are absolutely correct. And I, of course, made Dragon Con. Dragon Con is a huge kind of comic book convention that takes place here in the Atlanta area over that Labor Day weekend. And their first night, Thursday night, for the past couple years has been dedicated to wrestling, where they put on DCW or Dragon Con wrestling. And the shows have gotten bigger and progressively better as the years have gone on. This year's show, no exception. Great matches, lots of great indie names from all over, from the Ugly Ducklings to, of course, we had the Hierarchy here, White Mike, Timmy Lee Ratton. I'm sorry, the Ducklings were not here, but, here in spirit. But just a whole lot of great talent. And also we saw getting a Hall of Fame award for Dragon Con was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He was awarded a Hall of Fame nod along with Ric Flair, who unfortunately could not be there live, of course, with him recovering from his health, I guess we'll call it scares, as well as Kane, who was on his way and unfortunately got into an accident. He was okay, but could not make it live to Dragon Con. But the wrestling and the wrestlers put on a great show. There was a costume contest, and I think you're familiar with CB. I think it's CB Suave, CB Smooth.
Yes, CB Suave. Yes, ROH wrestler CB Suave. He's made a lot of appearances on ROH and stuff.
Well, again, I spoke of the costume contest. He did a great Ric Flair impression. He stayed as Flair the entire time as he wrestled, and I do know how he did it, but let me tell you, if there's any video that comes out, you definitely want to watch, because that Flair hair that he had was fantastic, and it barely moved, which that in itself, as a woman who's had extensions before, I can tell you that, yeah, it's hard to keep those things from flying around, and he did a great job of keeping that hair in place.
But I've seen a couple of pictures. And of course, thanks to you, I was able to watch a couple of matches from Dragon Con. But as usual, WWE star Xavier Woods was in the house. Georgia native, now WWE star Xavier Woods, who, if you watch his show on YouTube and stuff, he's a huge, not only video game guy, but he's also a huge comic book guy. So it's no surprise that he was in the building. Am I correct?
Xavier Woods is like one of those great hostess from the old award shows. For Dragon Con, the guy goes all out. He changed into so many different costumes over the weekend. It was great. There was one point he was Cruella de Vil of, Disney 101 Dalmatians fame. He has a great time during Dragon Con, and yes, he was there for the wrestling as well. Took time to do a couple, pictures with the folks, but it was just a great weekend in general, just starting off with wrestling. The wrestling was great, and it's the first night. This was almost a standing room only house. There's a little controversy on how many people actually fit into the ballroom there at the Hyatt in Atlanta, but I can tell you for a fact that it was packed from pillar to post in there, full of people, some wrestling fans, some not fans, who I'm pretty sure walked away as fans of professional wrestling that night, which makes it a great night in general, no matter how many people were there.
Well, that's cool. I didn't get a chance to go to Dragon Con once again. I'm gonna try to make it down there next year. The Friday night, I was in Marmet, West Virginia. I actually had a title match for two different titles: the AIWF America's Championship, which is like their second top prize, whatever. I don't know what you want. And also the Mega Heavyweight Championship. Lost to Eric Darkstorm. Actually, I didn't lose. It was a double count out. Just a hard-fought match Friday night. Saturday, I made my debut in the great state of Ohio, finally, for FTC Wrestling in Ironton, Ohio. Was a part of the six-man stuff. Ohio wrestler Bruce Gray was there. Zayden Kane. Who else was there? Who else was the other opponent? Nathaniel Rose. It was myself, DeGette Bundles, and this guy named Raw Talent. So we ended up getting the W. Had a really good debut match. What's his name? Abyss, TNA, GFW, whatever you want to call him. GFW star Abyss was in the main event in this huge, crazy cluster of an 8-man elimination tag match. It was wild. It was crazy, but I definitely had fun returning back there in October. And then Sunday, I was in Greensboro, North Carolina for Firestar Pro Wrestling. They had their annual Rumble show, I guess you would call it. Was a part of the Rumble, should have won the Rumble to become the number one contender to the Firestar Southeastern Heavyweight Championship title. But once again, I was foiled by this kid is really young. I'm not going to lie to you, Mika. This kid's very green. Less than get in the business. His name is Griff Garrison. Is a complete, as JR would say, he is a blue chipper. I'm not even gonna lie. The guy has the height, he has the look, he has the build, he has the athleticism. Every time I've had a chance to become the number one contender for this title, for some strange reason, this kid always messes it up for me. But then I had a singles match against another up and coming trainee and stuff out of the Firestar Dojo and stuff, and got to pay homage to Kenny Omega. Did the Finley roll into the moonsault off the second rope, which amazed a lot of people. So, and then I came home. So had a very interesting weekend, very, very interesting weekend, full of wrestling. Glad you had a great time at Dragon Con. Speaking of wrestling, there's always crazy stuff going on. One of the things I think me and you talked about off the air was the unveiling of a legitimate Ring of Honor ring. Is that
Yes.
correct?
That is absolutely correct. Cody Rhodes, the Ring of Honor taping was here in Atlanta at Center Stage, a sellout crowd. Got to see the unveiling of the Ring of Honor ring. Cody Rhodes had manufactured or produced a ring instead of a title belt that will go to the highest champion in Ring of Honor. Now, at that TV taping, he again brought out the ring and showed the crowd. A couple lucky people actually got to kiss the ring as he paraded around with this beautiful, beautiful piece of jewelry, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't call it jewelry, no disrespect, because it is a title. But it was very, very pretty, very, very blingy, I guess would be the word if we were trying to be hip. He did carry the.
We'll use the word extravagant.
Extravagant. Thank you. Let's expand our vocabulary. It was very extravagant, very, very luxurious. Lots of diamonds, lots of gold, lots of rare gems in this piece of title wear that will go now to the Ring of Honor champion. He did still carry at that time the Ring of Honor traditional title belt with him to the ring. But it seems like they're going to phase the belt itself out, and I guess now I can call it a belt, as it is now just a belt, and he shall have the ring with him, and people will now compete for this Ring of Honor ring. I don't know how I feel about it, other than the fact that he literally had people kissing the ring, people in the audience, as well as, the first person in the audience who you see is a female who happens to be a sister. Whenever you get a sibling to do something embarrassing in front of people, it's pretty cool. But at the time, people didn't know that was his sister, so that was pretty fun. One of my people that I was with, he got to kiss the ring as well. So I just think it's a great visual to be the top of the heap and have people kind of subjugate themselves to kiss your ring. But it also changes, for me as a fan, the look of your champion, because now they are not coming to the ring with a heavy title belt that's 10, 15 pounds of gold, that they've got this ring now, and it looks more majestic in essence. So how do you feel about the ring being the top prize in the land?
I feel about as a traditional wrestling fan, I feel about the ring the same way I felt when NXT had the medal, where they didn't have a belt. The top prize at Florida Championship Wrestling, whatever, which was the precursor to NXT, where they had like the actual medal. Myself, I'm not a huge fan of it. As a wrestler, there's no way that I'm going to kiss, because I guess the new, I watched the clips and stuff, and it was like the new code of honor is no longer the handshake. Now it's you have to kiss the ring. Me, myself, as a wrestler, I'm not kissing the ring. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not going to kiss the ring.
It is something to subjugate yourself, and I'm not sure if that's actually going to be the new code of honor, or is that what Cody wants the new code of honor to be. He said that he wants his opponents to kiss the ring. As a wrestler, as a man, as a woman, I will, adhere to the code of honor, to shake your hand, to say, let's go and put on a good show, be good sports. But as a person with some pride, kissing a ring of someone, again, this is America. We do not have royalty. We don't have a monarchy. So we do not have to bow and scrape to them. So Cody wants that to be the new code of honor. I'm not sure how many of his opponents will actually adhere to the code of honor of kissing the ring.
I will say, with the way that Cody carries himself, he carries himself like a champion, like a old school wrestling champion. Shade, back to the heyday, the 70s, 80s era of wrestling, where the champion, like Ric Flair, Harley Race, the Four Horsemen, they always wore suits. They were always dressed to the nines and stuff. So, yes, in my opinion, the ring kind of goes with this image of, hey, look, I wear suits, I wear cowboy boots, I don't wear jeans, sneakers or a T-shirt. One thing I've always noticed about Cody Rhodes during his championship reign is that unless he was on the way to the ring in his wrestling gear and stuff and ready to actually compete, he never actually wore the title around his waist. He always carried it. So I guess, with his image and stuff and the suits, the ring actually fits. Like you said, and like I'm going to agree with, I don't know how many people are actually going to kiss the ring. Just because, in my opinion, that's very demeaning. That's making yourself appear lower than the person who has the title. And it's definitely I would say it's definitely a mind game. When you make somebody kiss your ring before a match, it's definitely a mind game. So anyway, what else went on in wrestling that we can talk about, today, Mika?
We can also talk about Ric Flair and his kicking out of whatever his illness was and cutting a promo on a nurse, as well as doing a nice video and pushing some merchandise. I mean, if that's not a old school carny, I don't know what is.
Can I say that shirt is totally badass? Family friendly, no, but badass, yes. I support any T-shirt that says "I'm not dead yet, motherfuckers." Like, I mean, I'm almost to a point where I'm probably going to order myself one. I'm not even going to lie about it.
It is a great shirt. It's almost tongue in cheek because Ric Flair has almost been dead at least a few times, from plane crashes to broken necks and now this health scare. And for him to come and do a nice little video and say, with his shirt saying that he's not dead, and to come out and say, okay, now you can buy this shirt, that is amazing. I'm happy that Flair is still with us, that he is literally alive and kicking. Of course, curiosity makes me want to try to wonder what exactly was this health scare that, had the Nature Boy out of our immediate grasp, so to speak. But in true Ric Flair fashion, he comes out styled and profiled as only he can. And I want to say the shirt is not your traditional $20 shirt. I mean, it's a badass shirt, but if it's more than $20, I'm going to have to wait for the knockoffs. I'm sorry, Flair. I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of glamorous, speaking of glittery, speaking of just all the things professional wrestling, speaking of not dead, and she's a badass motherfucker. Tonight, as our guest, we have the longest reigning Gouge Women's Champion. We have a star of World Wrestling Pro Diana in Japan. She is known as the International Headhunter. And I can tell you from personal experience that she hits pretty damn hard. I'm not even going to lie about it. We've had her on the guest before. She is she's a resident of North Carolina by way of Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, international wrestling star, Big Bang Roni Nicole.
Hello. Thank you. Well, that was actually a really awesome introduction.
You're welcome. I told you I had you. Now, Roni, you're on the line once again. Myself, Will Huckabee, and then we have a new guest. I know you've never spoken to her before. Maybe, hopefully, you two have met on the Indies at a show somewhere. But if not, this is my co-host, Brad. This is her first interview on the show, Miss Mika Villas. Mika, say hi to Roni.
Hello, Miss Roni Nicole. It's a pleasure to talk to you. You must hit hard because that introduction was so nice. I was like, wow, you must have popped the hell out of him in the ring. Thank you very much. Whenever you get a chance to do it again, I want to be there live because that must be an awesome sight to see.
Thank you, Mika. I appreciate you guys for having me on the show. And you are correct.
Look, man, I've been in the ring with some pretty stiff people, man. Damian Wayne, I can't even think of his name now. Rodney Mack, Lewis Moore, and Roni Nicole is right up there with some of the hardest hitting people I've ever been in the ring with. There was a brief part of me for 1 second during our match that I forgot that she was a female. And I was like, the hell with this? Like, she's kicking my ass. I got to fight back. Like, I'm about to lose all credibility. I'll knock this chick out. So,
Yes, I remember that moment actually very distinctly.
Good. Anyway, get to the interview, Ronnie. Last time you was a guest, last time we talked, you was a guest on the previous incantation of this show. But since then, you traveled to Japan, been to the Far East. You know what I'm saying? Done some things, beat up some more people. How's life been for you?
Life's good. It's definitely highs and lows. But it's been more highs since coming back from Japan. I think that has kind of given me more fuel to my fire and kind of set my purpose in wrestling, which I always knew I wanted to do, but I didn't have a long-term end goal in mind. So Japan really helped me, solidify that, which was nice.
It sounds like Japan helped you focus. How long were you over there for?
For both tours, I did 6 months. So, yeah, it's been, it's a lot longer, it seems, when I'm over there and when I'm coming back. But, yeah, it definitely helped me focus a lot, mainly because that's someplace that I've always wanted to go. My career kind of just happenstance me in that direction, and I always knew from watching wrestling in Japan that was a style that was closer to what I connected with. There's so much going on with wrestling right now that's really good, and it's all really different. And so Japan really is my niche, and I love it there. That's home. So it's kind of weird being here now because I'm reacclimating to being in America because I've been over there for so long.
Now, Ronnie, I was going to ask you this, Ronnie, before I was interrupted. All right, so you've been in Japan and you just came back from 6 months. And this is your second time going over there. Have you found it more difficult to acclimate to wrestling back in America now than it was the first time?
Now, no. After coming back the first time, I was super Japanese style. It was really funny. Like, one of my first matches back last time was a triple threat with the Great Cheyenne and Thunder Rosa. And we were, just in the ring working out or whatever. And she was like, you're so Japanese style right now. And I was like, yes, Japanese style for life. Like, I was so focused on everything Japan, like all Japan, everything. Like, I didn't want to do anything any other way except for Japan. And like, I kept getting in arguments with Timmy Barrett, and I would be like, oh, this would not happen in Japan. And he would look at me like, really, bruh? And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. So like, last time it was like, I couldn't get out of Japanese mode, but coming back now, I realized that there's only a small percentage of the audience in America who is into female Japanese wrestling. Yes, they may like New Japan, but in terms of them actually watching women Japanese wrestlers, they may or may not. So I have had to adjust that to being back here. But wrestling's wrestling, wherever you go. It's one of the most beautiful universal languages. So I definitely... Anywhere I go, I'm going to be Big Bang, but you do have to do some different things depending on where your audience is, and I think that's just me learning. I'm still new in the biz, so I'm still learning to adjust to my audience and hone my skills in terms of where I am and what I need to be wherever I am.
All right, one more question before I hand it over to Tamika. So, second time going to Japan, same company, basically working the same town, same areas. Did the fans remember you? How did the fans react to you this second time around? Were they more familiar? Did you see a bunch of Big Bang signs in the crowd? Were they looking at you for autographs and T-shirts?
Well, actually, this time was different. Like last time, I think I only did maybe 2 or 3 venues the same this time, at least with Vienna. So this time it was similar to the first, where I had a new crowd that I was introduced to. So we had a show in Yamagata, which is way far away from Kawasaki, which is where the Deanna Dojo is. And we all had to take a bus there. So we left at like 1 or 2 in the morning. And then we got there very early that same morning for the show, for setup and everything. And like, this audience had never seen, heard from, or met me. But it was a big deal because that's where Kyoko Inoue is from. And that's also from where one of the Deanna returning members, Ayako Sato, is from. So we expected it to be a very big turnout show regardless. And it was just very surprising to have that reaction from people there who were not familiar with me. You know, but they were very supportive, and, you know, they got behind me in the match or whatever. But I can tell when I go to different areas by how much merch money I make. So, like, if I'm in a familiar area that really likes me, like, I know I'm going to make a lot of money. But I know if I'm in a new area, like, they're kind of scared to come and approach me because my character is this big, huge, you know, monster. And for Japanese people, you don't see too many large African-American women running around. So it's a little bit of, okay, let me see you another time, and then I may come up and get an autograph. And then that third time I see you, I might buy something. So it's kind of like building it. Is it the eyebrows? Is that what it is?
It was the eyebrows. I'm telling you, you're the master of the angry eyebrows. That's why.
Oh, okay. Whatever. You're not.
Mika, what do you have for our guest tonight?
I don't know if I can top Master of Angry Eyebrows. That's just way
awful.
Too much right there.
My eyebrows do not look angry.
He's a man. He knows nothing, but we'll let him just do his thing, you know. So you were over there for 6 months. What did you learn altogether about Japanese wrestling and just being someone coming from America into Japan that you didn't know going in? Because, you know, you said that was a goal and you'd watched Japanese wrestling before and the women's wrestling, and just being in there, being in the midst of a whole different country, a whole different mindset. What did you pick up? What did you learn?
I think, truthfully, being in Japan has helped me understand why so many of the older vets are grizzly, because they have this sense of traditionalism and, you know, locker room etiquette and just wrestling etiquette and, you know, stick to your psychology and, you know, don't break kayfabe. And it's very grounded in that old school sense of storytelling and wrestling. And, you know, as I said earlier, things are changing now. So that's evolved into different things. So you have the athletic storytelling like Ricochet and Ospreay, or you have the comedic storytelling like Joey Ryan. You know, you have a little bit of everything kind of happening. But Japan is still, at its heart, steeped in that traditional wrestling. And so it really, for me, like I said, I'm still new. So I'm still building those blocks of learning how to craft a good story, especially in a country that is not familiar with you and you're not familiar with their audience. You know, so that has really, Japan really helped, I guess, broaden my horizons in terms of being able to get back to basics, because that's really what there is basics. They have, you know, if you go to a Noah show or a New Japan show or, you know, a Wrestle One show or something, they have the members who they love and, you know, anything they do they're going to be enamored with. And then you have those matches where they really are focused on the wrestling and they really want to see something just that babyface come from under the heel, or, you know, a big monster heel does a power move and it looks like it killed him. You know, they love that type of simplicity, and I think that for me is really good because all of my trainers are old school. You know, I didn't, so I don't know, you know, I'm not a high flyer. I'm not going to do a bunch of flippy stuff because, first of all, this behind and these legs are not going to allow that to happen, and second of all, like, that's not how I was trained. So for me, going there into an environment that's going to help cultivate what I already was started in, that's been really beneficial for me personally. I find myself now able to watch things and see things. Okay, I know that came out kind of crazy, but have you ever watched a movie that you watched as a child and you pick up like all the adult jokes that you didn't get when you were a kid, or like a TV show or something? Yes. So that's kind of where I'm coming into now with wrestling. So I'm watching matches and I'm able to identify things like, okay, so that was probably a mistake, or, okay, so this is kind of, that was a cover. And that's stuff that you do, early on, but it's that eye that's still developing. And for me, I'm really, like, excited that I'm like, oh, my gosh, I can actually, like, watch my matches and see things my trainers would see, or, I'm watching other things to study, and I'm picking up on things that I wouldn't have picked up on a couple of years ago, and I know that's a direct result of being in Japan and kind of being immersed in that environment where you have to do that all the time. You have to pay attention. You have to know what's going on at all times. Even in a foreign country, you have to know what's going on at all times. Don't get lost. But yeah, it's a long way around. I hope that answers your question.
You absolutely did, and you kind of spanned another question out of me here. So now that you've got some more focus, more attention, and you've picked up those building blocks and where you can go back and kind of look at things, is there any match or any opponent that you maybe want to go back and revisit now that you've picked up a little more skill, that your newness has worn off some and you're a little more experienced, and you say, you know what, I love to redo X, Y, Z, or I'd love to face again this person with this newfound knowledge that you have?
William Huckabee. Huckabee.
No. For the reason I say that is because every single match up until this point that I've had has been a step forward. It's been a building block forward. So all of my matches are learning experiences. If I ever went back and redid it, I would be canceling out what I've learned from that thus far. Would there ever be an opponent that I would like to face again where I am now? And kind of see where we are as we've grown in time? Yeah. Oh, gosh.
You don't have to say Huckabee. You really don't have to say Huckabee.
Real Huckabee.
Oh, no.
Huckabee.
No. I'm not going to put him over on his own show. Like, that's not going to happen.
Wow!
I like her.
Yeah, so when I got back last time, I went to the Rise, which is, I would say, seminar, but it's really developing into like a program of developmental almost for female wrestlers and male wrestlers, because they have Gain and a couple other different things in the Rise pipeline. But it was the Rise Shimmer weekend, and my match, I was tag teaming with Kiko. She lived in California, but she, I think, relocated to the East Coast, Fallen Flower Kiko, and we tagged against the Sea Stars. And I would definitely like to do that match again, given where I am now, given the knowledge that I have now, and given, kind of that eye that I was talking about, which would really help with some things that didn't go quite right with that match initially. I think that now that would be very beneficial, and I could kind of do it right, this time around. But I'm not going to put you over on your own show, and I'm going to beat you I'm going to beat you like I beat you before, so it's not going to be anything new or different. Like, you're going to catch your pants. That's the end of it.
First of all, you lost that match, okay? So
whatever. Okay. Oh my gosh, I lost the predetermined match. Are you kidding me right now?
It's not about wins and losses, right? It's about
right. It's about who got the brakes beat off of them. So we know who that was.
I saw that. You got the brakes beat off you. I'm just saying, let it go. Just let it go.
Let it go. Right. In Elsa's voice. Let it go.
But speaking of, people who are legendary, and not just in their own mind, but actual legends, while you were in Japan, you teamed up with Aja Kong, who is just hands down.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like a physical reaction or something. I don't know. It's just so exciting to me.
She is absolutely like. I'm trying to maintain the decor here, but yeah, you absolutely did with Aja Kong. How was that? Did you get a chance? Did she pass on any knowledge? Give me everything, your interactions with Aja Kong, and if you squealed like that, that's awesome, because I probably would have just passed out just like,
girl, I know. No, in front of a senpai in Japan, you better keep your pants together. No. But, like, when I was by myself, I was, like, super, like, doing weird dance moves in the bathroom, like, doing, like, little awkward poses and stuff, because I was, like, so excited. I didn't really know what to do with my body, so I was just, like, doing weird breakdance stuff. But, like, she's amazing. And I had been in the, first tour, I was in the locker room with her, so I had been around her. And I had just been kind of, like, that creepy... like greenhorn, like
stalker, like I see you. Ooh.
Right. Like, do you need me to get your bag? Senpai, hold on. Senpai. Like, I'm just running around, like, doing whatever I can. And she's just kind of like, who is this girl? why is she always around? You know, but I'm not being overly in her way. I'm just like, I'm here, and I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited that you're here. And I'm also here if you need me, and I'm right here. So it's just really, you know, overwhelmed because she's super serious. Like, there's only a couple people that when they come in the locker room, it does not matter who is in the locker room or what you are doing. Everybody drops what they are doing, and they go and greet her. He is one of those people. Jaguar Yokota is another. There's a couple more, but, like, I've been in the locker room, and they're like, oh, Aja Sama's here. Because they call her Aja Sama because it's, like, Sama is Japanese. If I'm not mistaken, it's, like, for legendary or supreme or, like, even almost more than senpai. So, like, you know, they regard her with such a high amount of respect. It's like, you know, when she's here, you better go greet her. You know? So, like... The very, very first time that happened, I, like, tripped over my bag, and I'm, like, trying to, like, climb over stuff, and it's so awkward and, like, obvious that I'm, like, such a mess, and everyone's just kind of looking at me as I'm struggling, you know, but everyone knew that I was, like, they knew coming into it. She and Kyoko Inoue and Aja Kong, or Amazing Kong, are, like, my top three, you know. That was who I watched, and as a powerhouse female, those are the women that I admire. And so it was very overwhelming. And so when I didn't, the office didn't tell me I was tagging with her. I found out through a friend. Wow. So my friend was like, dude, I'm so jealous right now. I was like, what? And this is like on a weekend. I'm off, you know, I had just done training. We're like drinking beers or whatever. And I was like, girl, what you talking about? She was like, you're tagging with Aja Kong. I was like, like, I laughed like that. Right. And everyone in the bar is looking at us like, what is going on? And she shows me her phone, and it has the card. And I was like, oh, like, you're being for real. Everything just slowed down. She was like, are you okay? Because I think I looked like I was either going to fall off the stool or just pass out. But she just kept, like, shaking my arm. She's like, are you okay? Are you okay? You okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. You know, but it literally took my soul out of my body. I don't even know, because first of all, it was tag teaming with her as main event. And I was like, are y'all retarded? Like, what is wrong? It's me. Y'all know who you're putting in these matches, right? Like, okay, whatever. Because the same thing happened to me last time I was there, and they put me in a match. It was me, Kyoko Inoue, and Kawo Ito versus Minami Toyota, Ayako Hamada, and Nanae Takahashi, and me. So, all you legends and Raggedy Roni Nicole. Like, what? You know, so my mind was not processing it. So I called my office from the bar. It was like 9:30, and I messaged the secretary. I was like, is this match correct? Are you guys? And he's like, oh, yes, I forgot to tell you. Thank you. But, you know, so I was very shocked and overwhelmed and surprised and, you know,